Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Morning, everyone. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. I am Ray Flowers. For once, I believe I have all the tech done on time. I don't think there's any hiccups there. I've sent the code to Russell Clay to join us for a visit today. I've got the files uploaded. I think I did it. Now, I say that, which probably means in the next 37 seconds, my internet will go down. But let's see if we can have a good show on this Friday. Hopefully, you're doing well. Again, I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily. If you just found us, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome. We're here every day, Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We usually go about an hour, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little bit more. Not on a hard schedule here. We go as long as the conversation takes us. And every day for about an hour on this show, we talk football and baseball. That's the season we're in right now. If you're looking for some basketball talk, go to FantasyGuru.com, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner, get signed up for the MVP plan, and you can have all the basketball talk you want. Discord rooms, articles on wagering, articles on DFS. We got you covered there at FantasyGuru.com. And Justin Fensterman, when he hosts on Wednesdays, does talk basketball. He even has Armando Marsal on Wednesdays to talk some hoops. So if you're looking for hoops, we even got you on that. It's just on this show, it's only on Wednesdays. I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. On Wednesdays, I'm with Jeff Manns on the Elite Sports Show. That's 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. The Elite Sports Show with Jeff, and I'm on there with him Wednesdays. I'm on here with you all Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Next week on Monday, I'll be hosting, I believe, my final baseball draft. You never know how these things go. Sometimes things get added at the last minute, but I think I'm hosting my last baseball draft on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. It'll be another one of the leagues I'm in, the 15-team Champions League FSGA League. So that's, I think, at 8 o'clock Eastern Time Monday. So check that out on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. You can follow me on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all those places at The Ray Flowers. You can always find me in Discord over at FantasyGuru.com. Again, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. Get the baseball package, get the football package, get the MVP package, which is everything else. For baseball, maybe you're getting ready to do your draft this weekend. Maybe you're just, oh my gosh, let's go, Ray, I need some help. Get signed up. We got the seasonal package right now. And remember, the draft guide, as we call it, is full season. So it covers you all season long throughout the end of the regular season. So get it now. You get coverage all the way through there. Get all the articles. You get access to Discord. You get access to all the rankings. And when I say all the rankings, points league rankings, mixed league rankings, AL rankings, NL only rankings, auction values for mixed league, AL and NL. What other rankings we have? Rookie rankings, power rankings, speed rankings, the category rankings. You got a lot of rankings over there at FantasyGuru.com as part of that draft guide. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. You can always send a note again to support@FantasyGuru.com. That's support@FantasyGuru.com. You always get things on your glasses. Isn't it always right in the middle too? For those of you that wear glasses, like why is it always right in the middle? If it's on the side, it's annoying. If it's in the middle, you can't see. Probably should have fixed that before the show started. There we go. We also have one other package available for everybody, and this is exciting. This one just dropped, I think, yesterday. Boom, there it is. March Madness. The March Madness package over at FantasyGuru.com is now live. You can see the link there at the top of the page. If you're watching live on YouTube.com/ElitePlusNetwork, on Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, or on Twitter X @FantasyGuru site. In any of those three places, you can watch us live or obviously on demand. You can see the link at the top of the page. You can also find the link below if you're on YouTube. It's right there. If you're looking in at FantasyGuru.com, you're going to that Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. You can find the link there. You can always type in Fantasy Sports Daily, your podcast network as well. But the bottom line is the link should be available at FantasyGuru.com, the Elite Plus section, on YouTube.com if you just look at the description there. And I think it comes up on Facebook too. So you should be able to find it, but it's also on the screen there for those of you watching. And as you can see there on the screen, the draft guide is available. It's a one-time payment. It's not a recurring payment or anything. It's just, you pay it, boom, you're done, you're taken care of. It's got content for the entire tournament for 2025 if that's your jam. It's not mine, but I know that I'm in the minority with that. I think most sports fans love the tournament. They just love it. I just love it. It's never been my thing. I got too many other things I'm doing, but I know this is a huge thing, and it's especially a big thing in the wagering market. We got you covered there at FantasyGuru.com. You got all the tournament all the tournament access covered. access to our members-only Discord. Again, every product that we sell, we actually have a Discord room devoted specifically to that. So we have a Discord room specifically for the March Madness, the brackets, the picks, the breakdowns of all 68 teams. Members-only contests, I'm not really sure what that is because this just popped yesterday. Maybe it's in the data, and I didn't get a chance to look at it this morning because it's only 9 o'clock in the morning here. I got a bunch of things I'm doing in the morning. But members-only contest as well, live stream. And Armando Marsal mentioned this. I don't know how much he mentioned on air earlier this week. Maybe it was off air. We had a discussion about that. But he's really excited to be part of it. The bottom line is live streams, Discord, articles, rankings, picks, all of that. Head over to fantasyguru.com, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner, or just click the link in the description below to get access to the March Madness catalog, rankings, podcast, guide, whatever you want to call it, help for 2025. What are we talking about in the rest of the show today? Well, here we go. We just talked about that March Madness guide. Again, there's the link for those of you a little bit easier to see, a little bit bigger. We're also going to talk about all of the things going on in the world of baseball for about the next 20, 25 minutes. A lot of injury stuff to talk about, some of it positive, some of it not so positive, some guys moving in the right direction, some not. We'll discuss. Guys like Ohtani, Grayson Rodriguez, Christian Walker, Wilyer Abreu, Rafael Detmers, Lawrence Butler got paid. Did you see that information? Yeah, Lawrence Butler got paid. So here we go. About 25 minutes from now, Russell Clay, or Russell J. Clay, or Russ Clay, depending upon how you want to call him. He's going to join us. We're going to talk some football. We'll talk to him about the top you see on the screen. We'll get his take on the Bears' offensive line improvements. What are the Titans doing with the first pick in the draft in the quarterback position? What is going on in Jacksonville? Russell's favorite quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. He's a new coach, Liam Cohen. Everything's looking good. Christian Kirk is gone. Evan Engram is gone. What's going on there? What's going on with the Texans getting Christian Kirk? We'll talk about that. Tutu Atwell getting a monstrous contract. Why? DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin, Myles, Garrett, and Sam Darnold. We'll talk to him about all of that in a few moments. By the way, Tony, I saw you in Discord earlier this morning. See you here now. Sound good, Ray, the hardest working man in America. I try, Tony. I'm getting old, man. This beard's not getting any lighter. It's getting grayer. But yeah, I appreciate that, Tony. Thanks for being part of the crew over at FG and following the show here today, too, as well. We appreciate that. Okay. Shohei Ohtani, who has not thrown off the mound since February 25th. It is now March 7th. So he hasn't thrown off the mound in 2 weeks, almost. 10 days. February is a short month. 10 days. David Roberts said yesterday that they decided to slow him down in his rehab as he intensifies his rehab and work as a hitter. The bottom line is Shohei Ohtani is not going to pitch in April. It just doesn't seem like that's happening. And in fact, they asked Robert about, is May a good time frame for Ohtani to return as a pitcher? Not as a hitter. As a hitter, they're still fully expecting him to be ready at the start. As a pitcher, is May, is that legitimate? So they asked Dave Roberts, the manager of the Dodgers, what he thought. And he said, quote, "We just don't know," unquote. Quote, "I just feel, and we all feel, just trying to make it broad time to return without any kind of expectation," unquote. So, and this is always the catch-22 with Ohtani, who's coming off one of the greatest seasons of all time as an offensive performer, is the 1 or 2 pick in almost every draft. As a result, that's what happens when you go 50-50. The question is, when is he going to pitch? How much is he going to pitch? And will he have to miss any game action because of pitching, right? Will the games he pitched, will he not hit? Will he have to be sent down on a minor league rehab assignment to make a couple of starts in the minors and lose a couple of games as a hitter? Does he have any setbacks with his arm pitching that precludes him from swinging? It's he's 2 players in one, and he's dynamic at both. But it's difficult to do both. And so they're obviously not going to take any chances with him or any of their pitchers because they have so many options on the hill, as we've discussed over and over again. So many options on the hill to turn to. They obviously are looking at winning triple-digit games. They're thinking about October. So they're not going to rush Ohtani. So if you have Ohtani, as a hitter, I think we're good to go. On the pitching side of things, we just lowered him in the rankings yesterday significantly over at fantasyguru.com because it just doesn't seem like he's going to be pitching in the month of April. And, we'll have to watch this closely the next couple of weeks. He could be knocked down again as a pitcher. So I think his outlook as a pitcher, not that he won't pitch, but maybe it's 80 or 100 innings this year instead of 120 or 140. And that's significant if you're looking at his overall value. Speaking of ranking players, Went through everything yesterday, or last night actually, and basically didn't do a reworking of the rankings, but made some significant changes in a couple of spots. And you'll find those rankings updated again. The rankings are updated daily as necessary. With the news coming, you try to not be reactionary on my side of things, not be reactionary to injury news. It's like we can't go too far with this news, right? Like let's be smart about this. Let's be patient. Well, we're not to the point where it's like, all right, we got 3 weeks to go until the season goes. We need information, and if we don't have that information now, we're going to start to make changes. So we made some of those changes yesterday in the rankings at fantasyguru.com. Those changes have been reflected in the draft guide that was just posted this morning. So the draft guide is now available for all those of you using it. The draft book has been updated over at fantasyguru.com. So it's good to go for the weekend. Remember, I would encourage everyone that is using the draft book at fantasyguru.com. We talked about it live on this show a while back. Let me see if I can pull it up. So for those of you that don't know, or don't have access to fantasyguru.com, you don't have access to the actual draft book, but you can hear the description of what the draft book is and make a decision if the draft book is something that is appealing to you. If you go to fantasyguru.com/2025-MLB-draft-book, the draft book's homepage, you can find the link there. It's been updated. It's on the top of the page at fantasyguru.com. You'll see the little video. It's episode 342. We're on episode 351 today. It's episode 342, kind of my critique of the draft book. So I would encourage everyone who's using the draft book to at least spend 15 minutes watching the video that is included in that article. Ruby 17, draft book, fire. There it is. It's updated today, including those rankings updates that we were just talking about. So good to go for the those of you drafting this weekend. Now you will see one, because again, this is all manually done. I say this all the time. We're an open book here. We're not trying to fool anyone. If there's a change, it has to be made. I have to go in there and retype. Grayson Rodriguez has been lowered in the rankings at fantasyguru.com. In the draft book, he is in yellow because as of right now, I don't know what to expect with Grayson Rodriguez. And I don't ever really do this. Highlight a guy that's injured, I kind of just move him up and down in the draft book. But I thought with this guy in particular, we just don't know. For those that missed it, we talked about the other day, Grayson Rodriguez was throwing. He had a rough outing. His last fastball came in at 89 miles an hour. After the game, the team said he's fine. After the game, he said he's fine. He said, I just couldn't get loose, just one of those days. Well, now we're hearing he's got tricep soreness. They're running tests, and they're going to tell us more today. So this could be everything from his tricep was a little bit sore. He slept wrong. He didn't stretch it out properly. He threw a pitch. He tweaked it. This could be we're going to shut him down for 5 days, and everything's fine. He's ready for opening day. This could be significant. We have no clue. When a guy throws 96 miles an hour, throws a fastball at 89, we got a problem, right? We talked. I don't know if it was on this show or on the Sirius XM show, but we talked about it. There's a problem there. I love this because I'm doing one of these stupid slow drafts, which I absolutely detest. And I drafted Grayson Rodriguez, and then the next day he gets hurt. It's like, oh, that's fine. Isn't that great? Isn't that great when that happens when you're putting a team together? And it's one thing to do a draft and it's over and then you're there. I'm still drafting, so at least I could adjust, I guess, during the draft. I've taken Mackenzie Gore and Gavin Williams way above their ADP because I'm trying to build up some depth here. So there's that. But anyway, we don't know what's going on with Grayson Rodriguez, so he's yellow in the draft book. It could be minor and absolutely nothing. It could be a short IL stint. It could be he misses one turn to start the rotation. It could be he's shut down for a month. We have no idea. And this is big because, he's dealt with a lat strain last season. He's had elbow issues before. The 25-year-old is supposed to be a star in this league, and he's set up to be that guy this season. We just don't know what's going on with this tricep, at least if they're accurate. Tricep is better than shoulder or elbow, right? Muscle strain. Okay, you don't usually tear your tricep off the bone or anything like that. It's the biggest muscle in your arm, right? Your upper arm. So let's keep a good thought here. Hopefully we'll get more information soon, but keep that in mind. We're looking at the rankings and at the draft book at fantasyguru.com. Christian Walker, we were talking about oblique strains yesterday. If you missed it, that's episode 350. Kind of went through the oblique, where it is, what it is, why it's going on. Walker's another one of those guys dealing with an oblique issue. He said his current oblique issue, remember he's now with the Astros. His current oblique issue is not worse than it was the day before. Okay, that's good. He also said it's not as serious as last season. Well, that's also good news. But remember last year he missed a month when he strained his left oblique. So Walker's got some experience with an oblique. When you have an injury for the first time, you're not quite sure how to handle it. At least in Walker's case, he does have some background to speak of. Does this mean he's ready for opening day or not? I don't know. And so we knocked him down, I think, a spot on the rankings at fantasyguru.com. It's another one of these. It's like obliques are not scary, but they're nervous injuries because, as we discussed yesterday, you know, a 2-week injury can become a 4-week or 6-week injury pretty quick. And there's a lot of guys that thought they were going to be back in 2 weeks from an oblique injury, and it was a month. A lot of guys thought 4 weeks, and it was 7. I mean, it happens. So again, it's not catastrophic. There's not ligaments torn. There's not surgery. It's not catastrophic by any means. And I'm not going to get worked up about where Christian Walker is right now on the 7th of March, but it is a storyline to follow closely. Going to Houston is a good ballpark to hit, and he should pick right up where he left off in Arizona and be a significant fantasy force. Obviously, a top 10 first baseman. We'll have to continue to monitor that news. But for now, I think there's a solid chance he's ready for opening day. But we'll have to see. We don't know that for sure. Going to the pitching side a little bit here. Kyle Harrison, my guy, Kyle Harrison with the Giants. Kyle Harrison has been looked at with the Giants for a few years now as their #1 pitching prospect. And there were times where there were dreams of Kyle Harrison like vying for a Cy Young award. Like there were scouts and people watching him that thought, this all comes together. This guy, could be the Tariq Skubal. I mean, he could do Cole Reagans. He could do something like that. He's 23 years old now, and I'm not putting him out the pasture by any means, but he's 23. I don't want to say his velocity is backed up, but it kind of has. I mean, it's certainly, he's sitting now at 92, 91, 92. He used to be 94, 95. So let's say his velocity's backed up a little bit. He's having problems putting away batters. His location's still a little spotty. He's gone from, the Giants' top pitching prospect with, he's going to make 6 all-star teams to, I don't even know if he's going to make the starting rotation for this team to start the season. And it's why in my Tout Wars draft, that 15-team mixer that I did, and that write-up is free over at fantasyguru.com. We talked about it here on the show too. It's why in the 29th round of that 15-team mix, the guy took Hayden Birdsong. Because I don't even know if Kyle Harrison at this point is going to make the rotation to start the year. So we've dropped him in the rankings yet again at fantasyguru.com. There's always Landon Roop is available too. I think the Giants would prefer Birdsong, which is obviously why I took him, but we'll see. Bottom line is Harrison, his star is dim. It's dimming, and it's almost out. It's almost getting to the point where, and again, he's 23, let's not. But it's almost getting to the point where it's like, okay, instead of saying this guy's going to be a #2 starter at the big league level, we're now looking at him as a 4 or 5. And that's not good. So short term, very concerned with Harrison. Long term, give it a little time. But short term, I'm very concerned with him in 2025. Tyler Mahle, on the other hand, is going in the other direction. Mahle obviously missed last season because of his arm issue. He had the surgery, all that. He's back now. Gave up 1 run in 4 innings against the Reds. He's only made 8 starts over the last 2 years. So, there's obviously that piece. But all reports are positive on Mahle. He's looked pretty solid in spring. He is one of these guys that, go out and eat us 6 innings every 5 or 6 days, kid, and let it rip. And we're not invested in you. We don't look at you as a superstar. We're not building our staff around you. So Tyler Mahle looks like he is got a really good chance to lock down a spot in the rotation for the Rangers. And because of his solid work, not outstanding, but his solid work showing that he's healthy. And because he's obviously not a relief pitcher, it brings into question what the starting rotation of the Rangers is going to look like. Cody Bradford is that guy that's floating around. Is it going to be Cody Bradford or not? Is he going to make the rotation or not? Is he going to be out of the bullpen? What's going on with Rocker? What's going on with Leiter? If you look at it this way, I think you can make the case, and we saw it last year when Cody Bradford pitched so effectively. You can make the case that the floor this season with Bradford is higher than with Rocker or Leiter. You can make that case. Are Rocker and Leiter more talented than Bradford? Yes. Are they more skilled than Bradford? Yes. Are they more exciting than Bradford? Yes. Do they have a higher top end than Bradford? Yes. Rangers also have DeGrom, who they can't be certain is going to make 20 starts. They've got Mahle, who they'd love to have make 25 starts, but he's come back from injury. They've got John Gray, who struggles to make 25 starts. They've got Nathan Eovaldi, who's not a young guy. Do they need Cody Bradford just to go in there and soak up innings? Rocker has not looked great in camp. I think Leiter's behind Rocker in terms of, is he ready to start right now? It might end up being Cody Bradford in that 5th spot in the rotation. Well, maybe 4th spot, because we talked about the oddness of the Rangers wanting to pitch DeGrom at the back of the rotation. We'll see. This is a close one to watch because Bradford has not been somebody that I've recommended this offseason or preseason because of the presence of Rocker and Leiter. As we get a little closer to opening day, Bradford might be ascending a little bit because these other two guys, Rocker and Leiter, I don't know if they're doing enough right now to impress the Rangers to the point where they'll say, let's stick these guys in rotation come day one of the regular season. Reid Detmers. Reid Detmers has been the breakout pitcher of the year article is up over at fantasyguru.com. Check it out now. 17 pitchers are listed, and I go through all 17 of them. So it's a big article. Check that out over at FG. In the past, Reid Detmers has been on the breakout pitcher list article. He's been in there. I think he's been in there multiple times. He's been a disappointment. There have been stretches where his slider is on, and Reid Detmers is a killer. There have been stretches where he's been way worse than league average, and he's incredibly frustrating. I almost want to take a chance and draft him, and at the end of every draft, just because I think that the potential we've all seen is still there. You look at his ADP; it's 421. So if you're in a traditional 12-team league, take him in the 30th round. I mean, it's like I don't have a problem with that, right? We're getting some good results here in spring, and you look at all the numbers and the data, and when he's right, he can be dominant, and he's been dominant at times in the major leagues. Significant strikeout totals, shutting opponents down, but then there's the moments where he just doesn't. Reid Detmers is 25. And in a lot of, the world anymore, if you don't do it by 25 in, sports, you suck, right? In the old days, a lot of pitchers didn't even get good till they were 25. A lot of pitchers didn't even make the majors until they were 23, 24. Then at 25, they were okay. Then 26, 27. And then here we go, right? And then from 28 to 36, they were great. It's not the way pitching usually works these days, but it's not to say that pitchers can't be on that same trajectory. I'm still hopeful on Reid Detmers. It's certainly hopeful to the point where his ADP is sitting at that I'm buying. I don't know how many of you are in leagues that are deep enough to do that. You can obviously see the rankings at fantasyguru.com. It's not like we have Reid Detmers at 68 or anything like that. It's a very very hopeful but not aggressive ranking for Detmers. Just putting him out there because again, he's one of these guys. People want to say, "Oh, name me someone, Ray, that no one's talking about Reid Detmers this year," and you're telling me there's a chance. I'm telling you there's a chance. Corbin Carroll has got the back issue. He took some swings yesterday. We were talking about him earlier in the week. Just a quick update on Corbin Carroll. He does have that back issue, but it does seem to be very minor. And not only does it seem to be very minor, not only did he take swings yesterday, he's slated to be in the lineup today. As I'm trying to get my glasses clean, they still have crap on them. He's slated to be in the lineup today. So good news with Carroll. Seems like that back issue that we discussed earlier in the week, we thought was a non-entity. Looks like it's going to be a non-entity. If he goes out there and plays today and, everything's fine, we're in really good shape. Man, I got to clean. Does anyone else do that too when you clean your glasses? Like you even use the cleaners or your water or soap, whatever. You can never quite get them clean. You know what I mean? There's always that little smudge. It just bothers the crap out of me too. Maybe that's me. I don't know. We were talking in the Discord room this morning about Rafael Devers and his situation. And let's do another update. We've talked so much about the situation with the infield with the Red Sox. Let's do a quick Rafael Devers update. Rafael Devers is hopeful of making his Grapefruit League debut next week on Tuesday or Wednesday. He's dealing with a shoulder issue. He's taken batting practice, said he didn't quite feel ready for game action, so they held him back a couple extra days here. They were hoping March 5th would be the day. Now we're looking at what? March 11th, so they backed him up a little bit. There's still plenty of time for Devers to get ready for opening day. We've lowered him, I think I lowered him like 1 or 2 spots at third base. What do we got him at? Third base. Let's see. Pull it up. Yeah, I've lowered him 1 spot or 2 spots at third base. He's still top 5 third baseman for me. I was having the discussion this morning about is he a keeper. I would still keep Rafael Devers unless there was high price point or round or something like that. If you're planning on keeping Devers 2 weeks ago, I'm still planning on keeping him now. It is a question about where he's going to be at and is he going to make opening day. But again, I'm anticipating he'll be ready to go on opening day. He might only play DH. There's a lot of smoke here, right? As we've discussed on and on with Devers, the fact that he wants to play third base. Is he going to play third base? Is he going to be forced to play DH because of his shoulder and the ability to throw? Are they going to make him DH and he's not going to like it because he thinks he's healthy enough to play defense? Like there's a lot going on here. But, he also got a $300 million contract, and he's also really good as an offensive player. So I'm not panicking at this point in time. Again, we slightly lowered him in the rankings, not backing off him by any means. I'm still hopeful that he'll be ready for opening day, and I'm still hopeful of a 280, 2800 season or whatever it might be. We'll continue to follow this storyline very closely as we have throughout spring, trying to figure out because again, we don't know where Bregman is. Bregman going to pick up second base eligibility? Is he going to stay at third? Is Vaughn Grissom going to be the second baseman? Is Christian Campbell going to make the team? Like, all these things are floating around here. We're trying to figure it all out, and there's fantasy implications here, so we're trying to get a handle on what's going on. We did get an update on Wilyer Abreu, who has continued to miss time with an illness. And this is, we got 20 days roughly till the start of the season for the Red Sox. And they're already reporting, Jen McCaffrey of the Athletics reporting at least, that Wilyer Abreu is almost certain to be unavailable for opening day. He's missed all this time with sickness since the start of camp. He hasn't done anything baseball related in terms of swinging a bat. He's basically just standing there and tracking pitches. Does he start the season on the disabled list? It kind of looks like he's gonna. I mean, if they're already ruling him out, they haven't done it officially. But if they're already looking at ruling him out for opening day, and we're 20 days away, so Abreu, at the very least, should be looked at as somebody that's going to start the season slowly for the Red Sox. Let's say mid-April should be our target date for him to return to usable fantasy action. We had to lower him in the rankings at fantasyguru.com anyway, so keep a close eye on that situation. More of an update than anything. We spent so much time talking about the infield with the Red Sox. We haven't talked much about Abreu and the outfielders. Speaking of outfielders, Lawrence Butler, who is on my keeper league team, who is actually on my dynasty league team. For those of you in dynasty leagues, like true dynasty leagues, I'm in a 14-team, 45-man roster dynasty league. For those of you in dynasty leagues, when everyone comes July, August, everyone starts drifting away if they're not in the top 5 in the league, and everyone's focusing on their fantasy football team. Pay attention to the waiver wire. I've been having huge levels of success in our league getting these young prospects in the months of July, August, and September the year earlier. Okay, that's what I did with Lawrence Butler. I got him 2 years ago. And then last year he had his breakout in the second half, right? The A's starting to spend some money, right? If this all goes to plan, Butler and the A's are going to spend a lot of money when they go to Vegas. Butler got a 7-year, $65.5 million contract. Great contract for him. He had a great month and a half, and he got $65 million, 66. If he develops into a perennial 25-25 guy and making all-star teams, he's underpaid. If he's an everyday player, he's paid fine. If he struggles to recapture that second half, he got a huge chunk of money. I've said it forever. This is the way for teams to spend money. This is the way to lock their guys down. It's the only way a team that doesn't have the huge dollar amounts can be effective at holding on to their superstar level players. They got to do this. Teams like the A's have to take chances like this. As a player, you're unproven. You haven't done much anything. Here's $65 million. Are you going to say no? Now, maybe if this plays out and he continues to grow, he threw away $35 million, right? Maybe he could have got $100 million. What if he struggles? What if he is a $25 million player? He got $65 million. So good for him. This should allow him to settle in and play, not worry about that at all. Buys out a couple years of free agency too. So obviously he must like the idea of living in Las Vegas. So good news for him, good news to the Athletics, and that should put to rest some of the concerns there. Tony asking a question here. How many games at second or first for Devers? Devers won't play second base at all, 0. First base, we don't know. As of right now, Tristan Casas is still on the team. He's still expected to be the first baseman. They could play Devers at first. They could play Casas at first. They could have the other one DH. They could move these guys around. My expectation would be that they'd probably leave Casas at first and put Devers at DH. So if I had Devers, I would just expect him to be third base eligible. I wouldn't expect him, because UTDH, who cares? You can do that anyway. I'm not anticipating him playing 25, 30, 50, 100 games at first base. Maybe I'm wrong there. And it would be nice to pick up that eligibility. But I think he's third baseman or DH. That'd be my best guess, Tony. Before we talk to Russell Clay here in a couple of minutes, a couple other names here on the list. Bo Naylor. Just wanted to throw Bo Naylor's out there. A couple home runs, 4 RBIs yesterday. No one talks about Bo Naylor. I get it. Not a superstar or anything like that. He is 25 years old. I don't think a lot of people really talk about Bo Naylor. I get the sense that Bo Naylor's just not on the, hey, I want to get this guy. I think Bo Naylor's a pretty solid second catcher if you're waiting. Just to put it out there. Bo Naylor, what's his ADP? $5 million. Bo Naylor's ADP. His brother's is 93. His is 313. barely being drafted as that second catcher. I just wanted to put out there, not a bad pedigree, not bad at all. And then finally, Bryan, woo. Another impressive start, and I just love the fact that now this year, have you noticed everyone's talking about Bryan Wu, our breakout pitcher of the year last year at fantasyguru.com. Everyone's talking about him this year. We were talking about him last year. Check out that breakout pitcher of the year article over at FG to see who the guy is this year. And remember, there's 17 players listed in there, so there's a whole bunch of guys to go through, a bunch of guys that I like in that breakout pitcher of the year article. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Sign up for the baseball package, and you're good to go with us at fantasyguru.com. Okay, so that's our baseball talk. Time to talk some football. It's a Friday, and on Fridays we visit with our man Russell Russ Clay. He's got a lot of names, but you know him as Russell Clay. FantasyGuru.com. Welcome to the show, Russ. How you doing?
Never trust a guy with 3 first names, Ray.
I'm Stanley Ray Flowers III.
Oh no, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. We are.
And yeah, every assassin ever has 3 names, right? So I've been good thus far. I don't own a gun or anything, so
The only more questionable we could get is if we have a hyphen.
Yeah.
Then we're
Don't you love it when the athletes too have their names and their names are so long that like it's like arched on their back because it can't fit? Or like we used to do that because I worked at a place called Sports Fever. Back when I was in college, a retail shop, we sold jerseys and hats and memorabilia stuff. And I was the guy. We would send the jerseys out if they were sewn, right? The tackle twill sewing for the name and number. We'd send it out for that. But for the press on stuff, I did the work. So a person would buy a Niner jersey and they say,
"Oh, you did the."
I did the work. They bought a Niner jersey and they say, "Hey man, I want Roger Craig." So I'd get the jersey, I'd put it on the press. Let's line up Craig. Let's put 33 on it. So I would do that. And most of the names, Craig, Montana, fine. But if the name gets long, then you got to start hand cutting the letters because we're just a mom and pop shop and everything is, whatever font it is. But if it's 10 font, we got to make it 8 font. That's a pain in the ass. I'm like, we really can't do Pete Crow Armstrong. Can we, those hyphens. So
we're out of jerseys. We're closing business.
Yeah. Sadly enough, the first jersey I ever did, it's in my closet. It's a Jeremy Roenick Blackhawks.
Okay.
Jersey. And it's starting to peel away. So the number is starting to peel away, and this is from 1996, 7. So I guess 25 years is about the span of how long the heat press holds up because the numbers are starting to fall off. But anyway, jersey's fine.
Well, I'll just share my quick jersey story, which is growing up, 2004 to 2008. That was when those Chinese jersey offshore, and you'd buy one, and you're like, I don't know if they're stealing my money. Sometimes they'd show up, and it'd be like the jersey, like you're talking about, be spelt wrong, or other things. And sometimes you just get an awesome jersey for like $30. So that it's a different experience than having someone in America hand pressing it,
Right. Yeah, a little bit. I know what you're talking about too. We've all done that. I did that when I was a kid too. And it's like, you order an extra large and I'm like, this thing's a medium.
Yeah, like I thought I got a baseball jersey. I don't know what's going on here.
Russell Clay of FantasyGuru.com. How you doing, Russ?
I'm good, man. Yeah, it's good. Good week here. My buddy works at a gym and he got me out there on Tuesday. I am sore. I haven't done weights in like years, so he's got me moving.
Wow. Yeah, the sorest, I'm not even using the right term, but the sorest I've ever been is the first time I ever lifted weights. I was 14 years old. I was a freshman in high school. I was going to start doing weightlifting. And I was 5'10", 180 as a freshman. I was a big kid. And so I go there and they make you do all the exercise, right? So you walk through with the trainer and they're trying to set up a program. I'm with my dad, right? And they're setting the program up. And so you're doing this and doing that. And these exercises, I played basketball and baseball. I've never lifted a weight. Like any awkward movement that's not a baseball or a basketball. The next day I could barely get out of bed. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. I'm sitting there in class just hurting. I don't even remember what the teacher. I remember I have a visual of sitting in one of my classes, and there's a movie playing, and I'm like, I can't even go to sleep. I'm so freaking sore. Are you that way today?
That was me yesterday. I called in. He wanted me to go in the next day too. I was like, listen, man, you don't know who you're dealing with right now.
Well, before we lose everyone with our personal stories.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little football. Lots going on here. Obviously, free agency is almost upon us here. Wanted to talk to you about a bunch of the situations. And the first one I wanted to discuss is what's going on with the Tennessee Titans. Are they going to take Cam Ward? Are they going to trade the pick? We're hearing reports that they might just dump Will Levis. They're looking to do something different. Like, what is your thought? That this is obviously a franchise-altering decision they're trying to make right now. How do you see it playing out?
These types of indecisive franchise moments have much more to do with the class itself than the actual team. If this were last year, the Titans would be taking Caleb Williams. There would be no question, and we would have known 3 months ago, right?
Right.
Now, Cam Ward, this transfer sort of 4-year quarterback, I like Cam Ward. I think they should take him with the number 1 overall pick, but it is not a slam dunk by any means. And we've seen this with the Shedeur Sanders stock. It's up, it's down. He's arrogant. Oh, he's a good game manager. It's all over the place. But the reality is, if we take a step back, the reality is this just isn't a great quarterback class. So these teams are all over the board. I think they should take Cam Ward. I think he's worthy of it, at least in this class, but it's a mess. And there's a lot of garbage going on. The funny thing about Shedeur Sanders, there's a lot of headlines about, is he arrogant? Is he whatever? Is he all this stuff? The one thing I'm not questioning is like if he's a bright kid, and if I feel like he's going to be successful.
Russ froze up.
Huh?
Russ is.
Oh, can you guys hear me?
We got you now, Russ. Go for it.
All right. I was going to say,
said the one thing, and then when you went dark.
Yeah, the one thing is, regardless of football, I actually think he's going to be a successful guy no matter what he does. So when you get into those interviews and all this stuff, he's arrogant because he knows he's playing with house money. He's going to be fine with or without football. So that is what you're hearing right now. And they're just all picking up on like, all right, this guy's going to be fine no matter what. And he may not need us, unlike some of these other guys.
You mentioned Caleb Williams a second ago. Let's talk about what the Bears are doing, Russ. I mean, they brought in Joe Thuney. They also brought in Jonah Jackson. They're improving the offensive line. I mean, you look at Caleb last year, and one of the big critiques is he held on to the ball too long and obviously took a bunch of sacks. All right, let's get a new offensive coordinator in here. Let's get a new system in here. Let's get some new linemen in here. Solve the problem? Is it Caleb Williams to the moon in year 2?
It should be. It should be. Again, adding offensive line is always a good thing. We'll see what they do in the draft, but he had the supporting cast last year. I know we want to criticize the offensive line and it was not good, but some of that was self-inflicted. I'm very high on Caleb, and I am far from a hater, but we had some ugly stuff that happened last year. So if he cleans that up, he's a quick learner. He'll figure this out. And if we have the coaching staff around him and keep those weapons, Odunze and more in year 2, should be a really strong combination. So I like what they're doing there in Chicago.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Okay, Russ, we're doing it. We're diving right in. I let you work into this a little bit. We're talking Trevor Lawrence.
Let's
your guy, Trevor Lawrence. Liam Cohen comes in. Good news. Okay. We got some weapons here. We got a new coach here, knows what he's doing. All right, here we go. Then we start hearing rumblings about, well, we're going to let go Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
They do. They actually traded him to the Texans for a 7th-round pick. Strange, okay. All right. I don't quite get it, but okay. Then we hear they're letting go Evan Engram. So, I mean, they're legitimately dropping guys that like 2 years ago had 200 catches. And, before we talk about the individual players, Kirk and Engram, what are your thoughts on what they're doing in Jacksonville? And what do you think the plan is here? Because I'm not saying that Kirk or Engram are superstars by any means. And, there's contracts involved and all that. But what do they do to replace that? Brian Thomas is great. He can't catch 200 passes. What's going on?
They are not going to replace those two. This is going to be a new offense. It's going to look much different. And my guess is, based on the archetypes that I believe they're going to bring in and what they have now. So they kept Brian Thomas. That's the base. Big-bodied, deep threat. How did Trevor Lawrence thrive in college? He had T. Higgins, and Justin Ross didn't end up making it in the NFL, but he had the two big-body deep threats, high yards per attempt, pushing it down the field, and then having a little Hunter Renfrow fella, close to the line of scrimmage. But he was a deep ball passer, and the Jags have tried to make Trevor Lawrence this highly efficient short yardage guy with guys like Evan Engram and Christian Kirk. And they can go deeper, but these are guys that are mainly 5 to 7 yards down the field. And we saw that with Evan Engram catching 117 passes 2 years ago. So it looks bad on its face, but this is actually a suggestion. This offense is changing entirely. So I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to work much better. They do have Parker Washington. They do have Brenton Strange as that second round pick who showed signs last year. So this was all kind of coming anyway, but with Gladstone, the new GM coming in there, he came from the Rams. They were one of the best drafting teams of the last half decade. So they have something in mind for the draft as well, I'm sure.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Let's talk about Christian Kirk. Obviously a slot guy. He's going to the Houston Texans. Again, a 7th round pick. They said they were going to release him and then a day later traded him. So the Texans basically said, well, we'll give you a 7th rounder. We want him. And they said, sure. He basically replaces Stephon Diggs, basically. Obviously, he's a slot guy, so you got him in the slot. You got Nico Collins out wide, like you're talking about. They still need a third guy because Tank Dell, we don't even know if he's going to play this year, and the odds of Diggs returning there are extremely small. Christian Kirk, is he just going to go to Houston and catch 75 passes this season? Like, do you like this fit?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Probably that. Yeah, 75 is exactly what I would say, right? Okay. So that's it. And Christian Kirk's still a good player, and he was last year. He just got dinged up, and him getting hurt represented the end of not only that season, but that era of Jags football. So they're moving on. He's moving on. He's still got a lot of juice left. So with CJ Stroud, Tank Dell's, I'm guessing he's going to be out all of next year as well. And Stephon Diggs, is gone. It's him and Nico. So should be a nice combination there. Kirk is what he is at this point in his career. Doesn't have quite the athleticism of his Cardinal days, but still a good player.
Russell Clay, fantasyguru.com. If you're in a dynasty league, let's play this question a little different than the others we've had at this point. You're in a dynasty league. You have Evan Engram. You hold on to Evan Engram would be my guess. If someone wants to trade you Evan Engram, do you do it now or do you wait until he signs with somebody? How would you handle that?
Man, not necessarily in the Evan Engram business at this point. Age 29, 30 tight ends can do. We saw Zach Ertz. We saw what he did last year, right? Went to Washington, snuck in there in the Jaden Daniels rookie year hype and made himself a nice role and probably elongated his career. So I can definitely see something like that. He's not going to see the type of volume he saw in Jacksonville, I would guess again. That was really high volume for who he is as a player. So probably not seeing that again, but he can walk into an offense and be a 50, 60, 70 catch guy.
Going back to Brenton Strange, by the way, I know you talked about him previously and you mentioned him a few minutes ago. I mean, if you're in a dynasty keeper league scenario there, is he a potential bottom level tight end one short term?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I do think they're changing the offense. So I wouldn't say they are getting rid of these pieces to feature Brenton Strange, but it could be part of the offense where he becomes that 70 catch guy.
The Rams brought back Matthew Stafford. They're still extremely likely to get rid of Cooper Kupp. So they've got Puka Nacua and then Jordan Whittington, they hope steps forward. Maybe he does this year. They signed Tutu Atwell, and Jeff Manns was apoplectic yesterday at this. He said it's like the worst contract in the history of sports. Like 1 year, $10 million for Tutu Atwell. He can return, and he's fast. To me, this is bananas. It's a 1 year deal, so whatever, right? But $10 million, I just want the listeners to be clear that I am not they're paying him $10 million to now he's getting 8 targets a week. I'm taking it to be they're paying him $10 million to stick around and be part of this offense. But I am not using this contract as justification for let's bump Tutu out to way up our draft boards and take him like he's going to be wide receiver 29 this year. What do you think?
He's already significantly outpaced my expectations when they drafted him. Second round investment, $10 million this year. They love this guy. They're rooting for this guy. They want him to succeed. He has made some nice plays here and there. He is not a featured weapon in the NFL by any means. The Puka thing was awesome as a 5th round pick a few years ago. Puka and Tutu are vastly different players. They're going to draft somebody. That's what they did. You mentioned Whittington, who has a lot of injuries on his profile. So that's going to be a thing to watch there. But if he can stay on the field, they'll be playing snaps. They're going to figure out something with the draft. That's my guess. They're going to bring in a few guys and probably make something work. So I trust the Rams. I just don't trust the current guys on the roster.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Seattle, let's go. Tyler Lockett, understandable. Kind of sad way to end his impressive career. He's probably the number 2 receiver in that team's history behind Steve Largent. Great career. He'll continue to play. He'll find some team that'll give him a short-term deal. They got DK Metcalf and JSN. Sounds like they're only going to have JSN this year. Metcalf wants out. Sounds like they're willing to trade him. Now, they want a 1st and a 3rd round pick, which seems pretty steep. We had Tyler Beaker on yesterday. He gave his thoughts on this and said, look, a couple years ago, Stephon Diggs got a 1st round pick when he was traded to the Bills. I don't think Seattle's going to get a 2nd pick for DK because he's going to be a free agent after the upcoming season. 2 things. 1, we all want DK Metcalf on our team, right? Everyone in the NFL. And 2, what's Seattle's plan here? Because JSN and what else?
Interesting move to get rid of DK. It's going to be a new look offense, but they were already heading that way. And in terms of Metcalf, the JSN thing was coming. It was coming, and it had it left the station at the end of last year. He was a clear wide receiver 1. He was the clear best wide receiver on that team. And, DK Metcalf's a proud man, and he probably doesn't want to admit that the offense is going to be centered around JSN from now on. So that's happening. And I'm very curious where Metcalf goes. There's so many. Every team could use a DK Metcalf. He's a deep threat. He has elite speed, elite athleticism, and has shown the ability to be a presence that teams have to adjust for. There aren't many guys that teams have to adjust for. So I like him. I think he's going to be very helpful for whatever team needs him, but this is JSN's offense now. And JSN and the running game, that's going to be it.
I mean, you look at this receiving core, it's JSN, Jake Bobo, Drake Young, Jalen Darden, Cody White. Like, dear God, like there's nothing. I mean, and JSN, for all the greatness, he's not a deep threat, right? So it's not, so we're going to get the defenses crashing down. Geno Smith is not Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, 50 carries. It's going to have to be kind of a grinded out offense with the way it looks right now. Like you said, they're changing the way it's going, but this is going to be Steelers West. Is that what you're thinking?
I was thinking the Bills with Khalil Shakur is a lot. This is what the archetype is now. Teams are heading this way. I don't fully get it right now, but it seems like a lot of these franchises are not prioritizing deep threats anymore. And that's sad for me because I love deep threats. They're my favorite pieces on the offense, but George Pickens seems like fewer and far between. And then moving on from DK or, him requesting a trade, might be a new era where a lot of these teams have 5 different guys and then one main, Shakir type guy. So
well, that's fun in the fantasy space. Yay. That's
I
great.
know, right?
Yeah. We don't have workhorse running backs anymore. Now we're going to have workhorse wide receivers either. That'll be fun. All right. Fantasy football in 2029. Yay. Russell Clay, FG. Chris Godwin, coming back from the injury, Godwin, we know how effective he can be. We know wherever he ends up, he's going to be working out of the slot. He's likely to be catching 5 passes a week, right? We know that. There's been a lot of reporting about him returning to Tampa Bay, which makes all the sense in the world. We're also got a report that the Patriots are looking to do some things, and they're really interested in Chris Godwin. Where is Chris Godwin physically for you? I mean, he's almost 30 years old. He's coming back off another injury. Are you worried about that? Yeah. Do you agree with my statement that no matter where he plays, he's basically going to be catching 5 passes a week kind of thing? Is that fair to say as well, Russell?
That injury was rough, and it happened mid-season. So these are always tough to manage, especially when a guy's 29, 30 years old. Mm-hmm. So there is a real chance where he gets into this year and he's just not ready. Mm-hmm. If he is ready, like you mentioned, he's going to be a guy, main slot guy with upside. So I like what he brings to the table. I wouldn't get expectations too high for 2025 yet until we see he's out there, he's ready to go, he's firing on all cylinders. Because that was a major injury, so I wouldn't count it just yet. But a team is going to bring him in with the idea of having him in that role, yes.
And I mean, the Patriots, I get we need a receiver. We want to get someone to catch passes for Drake May, move the chains and all that. But Demario Douglas is their slot guy. That's all he plays basically is a slot, right? Like they don't. I mean, is that even to make sense as a fit for the Patriots? I don't know. Yeah, right?
Yeah. I don't know if Godwin's a good fit there. I mean, he'll definitely help Drake May if he's there, but they got to do some soul searching. They drafted Jalen Polk last year in the 2nd round. Is that done? Are we done with that? They have a few other decent weapons, but they really do have to do some soul searching and figure out who their offensive identity is, because they can't go into it like they did last year with 7 different media. They can't do that again. They got to figure it out.
A question that we don't normally talk IDP, you and I, and we're not really talking IDP here. We are, but we aren't. Mm-hmm. We do cover that obviously at fantasyguru.com. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner, Discord, articles, rankings, all that stuff. Yeah, there you go. Myles Garrett, I just wanted to talk about this whole situation because Myles Garrett is a superstar. Yeah. He is a superstar in this league. And it really sounds like he's telling the Browns, F you. And it really sounds like the Browns are telling, oh, you're going to F us? F you. Like, it really seems like both sides, like, Garrett wants the hell out of there. The Browns said there's no way in hell we're sending you out of here. What do you think? I mean, the Browns have got a lot of problems. And clearly this franchise is in – we're tearing this thing down and rebuilding here. They got to figure this out with Myles Garrett because they can't afford to have their best asset go down in flames for a variety of reasons. What's your read on that, and what do you think ultimately happens? Pull out your crystal ball, Russell.
Hear me out. I think Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, I think that's a great staff. Okay. And I think they had something going before they traded for Deshaun Watson. Mm-hmm. And what we learned, Ray, is no matter how good you are at personnel and coaching, it doesn't matter because it's the Browns. So they should just give up and toss in the franchise and just move and let it go because this is never happening. That's my take. But no, but in terms of Myles Garrett, I'd be pissed too. He's an awesome player. He wants to be on a winning team, and he got a taste of it when they had those few good years where it felt like they were really building something. It's completely fallen apart. I will say that Browns defense was good last year. They just had no hope. And we see this a lot when Watson was in, they were getting 5 yards on a punt every possession. Yep. And when it was DTR and that other mix, it was just hell. So I would want to be on a new team too. Mm-hmm. I'd love to see Myles Garrett on a contender, but this is more so just having been on this franchise for a long time and, just how it all played out has got to be immensely frustrating.
If the story as we're hearing it now is accurate, and who knows for sure, but if it is, I can appreciate Myles Garrett when you say the Browns say, well, we'll pay you. And he said, no, I don't want money. I want the hell out of here. I can at least appreciate that because almost always the players are like, give me my money, right? Yeah. And he's like, I don't know. I just want to get the hell out of here. Another question to ask you about, and this, Sam Darnold is somebody we've been talking about a lot this offseason. And there are still rumors that the Vikings would love to have him back. I'm sure they would, but they're not going to pay him. So he's only going back to Minnesota if someone else doesn't pay him. It sounds like the Raiders are desperate to do something. So there's an obvious Raiders Darnold fit here. Aaron Rodgers is still floating around. Like the Raiders could do a couple of things. So, I mean, amazing to think Sam Darnold's kind of a pivot player for what's left, right? Given where we were 12 months ago. But what do you crystal ball this too? Sam Darnold, in 2 weeks we'll have an answer, or 10 days, whatever. End up with the Raiders? Is he going to end up back with the Vikings? Some wild card? What do you think? Jets?
I don't see him. No, okay. I don't see him back with Minnesota.
Okay.
They ultimately drafted JJ McCarthy. If they hadn't drafted JJ McCarthy and they went into the year, we're going to give it a shot with a few guys, and Darnold emerged, he's already paid right now. But the way the playoff game went and the way things have worked out, seems like they're going to let him go. So the Raiders are a good option. The Jets would be hilarious. I saw someone making a great tweet the other day of, Giants could use a guy like Daniel Jones and Jets could use a guy like Sam Darnold, pretending like, anyway, that was a funny tweet. Not reality. There's a lot of teams that could use Darnold. The good thing for him, he's going to be around. He created at least a 5-year window where teams are going to continue to take chances on him. So shout out to Sam Darnold. He made himself at least $50 to $100 million just by being good this year. Mm-hmm. And even if he stinks from now on, he's going to make a lot of money. So shout out to him.
5th in the NFL in passing yards and touchdowns, top 5, right? Did it. Mark P has a sentiment that, look, I get it, Mark. I get it. And Mark, this, and I think Russell's heard me say this, I'm on football overload myself. Okay? Yeah. Ray Flowers on football overload. And I get it, but I also can't ignore the numbers, Mark. And the numbers say people want to talk football. And I say it all the time. Half the stuff we talk about, think of these questions I'm asking Russell to pull out a crystal ball. It's not even real. People love it. It's all I need. It's all the big sports media talking about. It's all the world's talking about. It's all the fantasy space. So I would love to talk baseball the entire show. I love talking to Russell. I'm not trying to get rid of Russell.
Mark, let's talk Bronny James. How do you feel about that?
Well, there you go. See, Russell can talk about other sports. And to be fair, we talk football here on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, it's all baseball. Wednesday, we get basketball. We're trying to balance it out here. I understand your point, though, Mark. I do understand your point. David does not agree with your point, though, Mark, because David's got a question about football. Ray, would you draft Shedeur Sanders on your team? I think it depends who your quarterback is and what your goals are. I don't know what team he's on yet, so I'd love to see that. I have not done, and I'm open with everybody about this, which is why we have guys like Russell Clay on staff at fantasyguru.com. I don't pay attention to these college kids at all, other than reading a blurb here or there until the draft. So I'm not really even capable of answering this question right now, which is, again, why we have a guy like Russell, our dynasty guy at fantasyguru.com. I'm doing baseball all day. I don't have time for this stuff. You mentioned Shedeur Sanders earlier. Just to reiterate, in case David missed it, your quick take on him, Russ?
If someone does the Jalen Hurts thing and gets him 2 all-pro wide receivers, the best running back in the league, and the best offensive line, then it can definitely work. So that's where we're at with quarterbacks. I'm at the point where I'm not sure how important quarterback is versus having a super team. So a lot of quarterbacks can work unless you're Will Levis.
Oh, poor Will. He certainly has the skills.
That's
right?
done.
Yeah. No. Well, hey, DeVito got a contract from the Giants.
Yep.
So I guess Will Levis will be a backup for a long time.
Yeah.
David also asked about the guards, left guard, right guard. I mean, Thuney last year was all over the place. I think Thuney. I mean, so yeah, I think that's one of the big things with the veteran. And Jeff Mans broke this down in the Elite Sports Show on Sirius XM after the signing. Thuney in particular, I mean, playing at a high level out of position for the best team in football, the Chiefs, I got to figure out that the Bears don't have a concern about these guys theoretically playing the same position.
We saw that in the Super Bowl. You can't be having guards playing tackle against Montez Sweat and that Eagles D-line, or you're cooked. So hopefully they're playing their natural positions. So we'll go from there. But yeah, once injuries hit in midseason, we do see a lot of that.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Don't forget to join fantasyguru.com by clicking the subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. You can always send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. Support@fantasyguru.com. You got a question about any of the products we have that are available. Russell, what are you working on? You are diving into player profiles for these youngsters, I'm assuming, in your time away from here.
We're going to start diving into player profiles in the next couple of weeks. Myself, Armando Marsal, Tyler Beaker, Rich Mileto, and maybe Jeff Mans. And the one thing I'm sneaking around right now is I helped with the March Madness stuff last year. Our March Madness product launched today, so I might write up a few March Madness teams while Ted and Scott Bondar do the heavy lifting there. So fun time of year if you like college basketball.
And it is a fun time of year, Mark, and everyone else for baseball. As well, we got that product continuing to crank out over at FG. New articles every day. We updated the draft book today. We updated the underdog rankings, I think yesterday, the day before. So those are available for those of you wanting to do best ball. Let's pull up the schedule real quick here. What has got the next couple of days? The next couple of days, what the hell day are we today? The next couple of days, we're going to talk about infielders that are too costly according to ADP, outfielders that are too costly according to ADP, pitchers that are too costly according to ADP, and then we'll start our player profile series. So that's really going to get hot and heavy next week as we dive in and get those extensive reports on the individual players. So that's kind of what we got coming up with the baseball side of things. Russ, we'll talk to you again next Friday. Hope you have a good weekend. Have some fun. Maybe have a beer, a date, go for a walk. I don't know. Have some fun. Oh, I'll have to find out off air how your card experience. You went to an event.
Yes.
Did it go well? You can give the listeners a quick.
I'll tell you what, Ray. The card hobbyists, they're good folks, but once you get bartering, you know, the eyebrows change, everything, the mentality changes a little bit once you're getting money involved. You know.
Stay tuned. More Russell Clay's. How do you make money from people that don't want to give it to you? Russell, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next Friday. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Ray.
You got it. He's Russell Clay. I'm Ray Flowers. As you noted, March Madness, the package is available. We talked about it earlier. Go to fantasyguru.com. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. Get your NCAA bracket busting information, all that kind of stuff. Articles talking about picks and rankings and players. There'll be a live stream, all that kind of stuff. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. For Russell, I am Ray. This has been Fantasy Sports Daily. We'll see you on Monday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Remember, the show, as always, is powered by fantasyguru.com.